Peace. Haitians eat dirt cookies, mud pies, and that's why they're inferior to Black Americans. We don't do that. What you're about to witness is my brand of gatekeeping. Gatekeeping as intended, which is the securing, monitoring, and moderating of the ebb and flow of information, rather than simply hoarding it and policing the people from being able to share it, the very people who created said information. Now, about Haitians eating dirt cookies and mud pies, and that being used as evidence of their inferiority to Black Americans. That was a smear that I heard in the midst of the brouhaha that I had recently with the so-called FBA, or at least the profiles that claim to be FBA. And I say profile, not people. That'll come in. That'll be relevant later. Just wait a second. That was a smear that I heard about Haitians as evidence of them being inferior by profiles that claim to be smearing them on behalf of Black America. It was somehow Black American exceptionalism, which is essentially just American exceptionalism in blackface. Okay? Let's call it a spade, no pun intended. But here's the thing. When you use a smear like Haitians eat dirt, okay, as proof of their inferiority to Black American culture, without context of why do Haitians eat dirt? This is, in part, you mocking a natural disaster that spun Haitian people into a cycle of food deprivation. And in response to that, they utilize the soil, in part, for sustenance. Now, it may seem drastic and, for people to eat dirt in absence of actual food. I'm going to be wearing these quotes out today, okay? But in actuality, even in times where there were not conditions of food deprivation, although that is often the condition, Haitians ingested soil for medicinal purposes as well, particularly as it pertained to prenatal care, because there was enriched vitamins and minerals, things within the soil that was good for the human body. You really think that there's all this soil all over the earth feeding trees that can grow to be, the size of skyscrapers and sustaining them for centuries, and there's nothing in the soil that's good for the human body too? Even though when we die, we've returned to the soil. But I digress. I ain't coming here to preach today. The idea that Haitians eating soil makes them primitive goes against the fact that ingesting soil for medicinal purposes is also done in more so-called developed nations across the world. And you know what one of those other developed nations across the world that ingests soil for medicinal purposes happens to be? The United States. That's right. It's interesting that you would think that this is something that you could use to mock and smear Haitian people with, when in fact, ingesting soil is also an integral part of Black American history. It's a Black American practice that continues to this very day, particularly down south, including Gullah Geechee people who know the medicinal value of certain types of soil that once it's been strained and cleaned can be used in a number of different ways, including vitamins or including food, if need be. So the fact that y'all are saying this on behalf of Black American culture when you don't actually know Black American culture makes me wonder, not are you actually a foundational Black American person, but are you even Black? And even more, are you even a person? Because we know for a fact that studies show that empirical evidence that online, at least, the community has been infiltrated. ADOS, FBA, the real indigenous, like these communities online have been infiltrated by bots. We know that. Now, that's not to say that everyone who represents FBA online is a bot, but it's no coincidence whatsoever when someone who has 0 to no followers, or somebody who's only posting memes, no personally identifying information, just the Solon flag and nothing else, shows up talking the most mess in all of the discussion. They're the most active, but the least identifiable. That's not a surprise at all. So I'm not going to make any broad sweeping statements about everyone who subscribes to FBA or everyone who identifies as such. I won't do that. But I will say there is empirical evidence that these people who walk around slinging dirt pies and dirt cookies and mud pies at other Black folk throughout the diaspora, not knowing that that's actually a part of our own Black American tradition, history, and practices. It would do you some good when you know that you are an actual human being who subscribes to FBA to do a little bit of house cleaning. And as my mama would say, be careful with whom you tarry. You don't be guilty by association with those lunatics. We don't know. The question isn't even who are they actually fighting for, but who are they actually? We out here.